In the military, you meet people like nowhere else. No way to avoid them. No way to choose different ones. Just you and whoever ended up in the same unit. Some of them made it better, but these are the ones who made it significantly worse. Let's start with incompetence, because the military has a lot of it. In a normal job, incompetence is annoying. In the military, it has actual consequences for you, for the people around you, for everyone. Some of it is just funny. In the start of service, there's a shoe tying class for the people who somehow made it to adulthood without learning. There were basic math tests with elementary school level questions where people still failed. People whose fitness was so bad that they couldn't even stay at the back of the run. People not know how to do even basic tasks. To me, those are more funny than anything else. But incompetence becomes a real problem when the skill someone is missing is listening. We were at the shooting range practicing for our tests. Empty rifles, but ammunition had been handed out early. We were told several times not to touch it. We get to the practice round, shooting at turning targets with empty guns. No ear protection. Our instructor standing right next to us. Then I hear a shot. A real one. I turn to the person next to me, same shocked look on his face. Then we both turn to where that shot came from. Someone had loaded their rifle and fired during a dry run, with the instructor standing right there. For a few seconds, nobody said anything. Then everyone started yelling ceasefire at the same time. The wildest part, we didn't even get properly yelled at, just the disappointed face. And then the same disappointed speech from every single higher-up we had, one after another. Now I want to be clear, I wasn't the fittest, or the strongest, or even the smartest person there. But there's a difference between finding something hard and trying anyway, versus finding something hard and deciding not to even try. I can almost respect the incompetent ones. At least they showed up. At least they tried something. The next type couldn't even bother with that. Every group has this person, school, work, group projects, someone who contributes nothing and somehow completes everything. In the military, the consequences land on the people around them. We had someone in our group who was sick for over a month. Not actually sick, just had a small cough and decided that was enough and spent the whole time lying in bed on his phone. Never came to training, never learned how to do his job, never really met most of the people he was supposedly serving with. We couldn't figure out how he kept getting sick leave until we learned his system. He'd call in to the doctor and make it sound worse than it was. Get 2 or 3 days off, then the moment those days ended, he'd call again. Same story, slightly different symptoms for over a month. The part that genuinely got me was that he still graduated. Got the same marks as everyone who had actually been there. People in the group didn't even recognize his face when he showed up for the last day. That's how absent he'd been. Meanwhile, people who showed up every single day, who pushed through everything, some of them didn't get those marks. Turns out consistency isn't always what gets rewarded. Then they were the ones who didn't even bother with the system. They just openly did whatever they wanted. At one of the camps, we moved to a location with an actual building. Real beds, which were obviously off limits. Those were for the trainers only. But one night, after hours of guard duty and barely any sleep for days, one guy just found the most hidden bed in the building and went to sleep in it. He got caught, obviously, but honestly, a few hours of actual sleep in a warm bed versus whatever punishment he got. I think it was probably worth it. I get that not everyone wants to be in the military. Neither did I for most of it. But there's a difference between not wanting to be there and making it worse for everyone else. The next type of person had the opposite problem. They wanted to be there more than anyone. I have genuine respect for people who take the military seriously, who push themselves, want to improve, actually try. What I don't respect is using that as a reason to look down on everyone else. We were conscripts, not professionals, and some people seemed to completely forget that. They'd form their own little group and spend their time laughing at anyone they thought was beneath them. Why? Why not lift up others? Thankfully, some people actually chose this option. In our Cooper's test, where you run as far as you can in 12 minutes, we had people from a more advanced unit counting our laps. Instead of just standing there watching, they ran with us, pushed the slower ones through the last minute. I got my best Cooper's result ever that day because someone decided to lift people up, be like these people. The ones who looked down on everyone thought they were special for being more committed, but they were doing the exact same mandatory service as the rest of us. Same rules, same situation. In a few years, we're all going to be in civilian life doing completely different things. The next type takes a completely different approach. They just want to be seen taking things seriously. The next one is technically two types of people, but in my experience, they were usually the same person. The question asker. Every briefing, every instruction, every explanation, this person has a question. Not a useful one, not something that actually needed asking, just a question to be seen asking. The timing is always wrong. Always when something is running late. Always when everyone else already understood and just wants to go. And then the same person becomes the suck-up. Volunteers for everything. Agrees with whatever the superiors say. Tries to show they care more than anyone else in the room. Which would be annoying, but fine. Except they were also somehow completely useless at the same time. We were training outside one day. Digging, crawling, moving between positions. It was also the middle of the summer heat wave, so everyone was exhausted, dirty, and ready to go back to base. We finish, we line up, and then this guy announces he lost his keys. In the military, your keys matter. No keys means no locker. No locker means no access to any of your stuff. So instead of going back, 50 of us had to form a search line and go back over every single meter of ground we just covered. In the heat, after hours of digging, we searched for an hour, found nothing, gave up, and marched back. His keys were on his bed the whole time. The combination of trying to desperately impress superiors while consistently making things worse for everyone around them is a very specific kind of frustrating. Military service puts every type of person in one room and locks the door. I still have plenty of more stories where these came from. My other military videos are there on the channel if you want them.